But one thing I want to show you on a Bitcoin chart right now, which is very, very bullish for crypto and for Bitcoin, is this, okay? So on the weekly time frame, we've got a beautiful close above the weekly 20 EMA. Now going forward, we need to see consistent closes right now above this yellow line, okay? The more time we can go right now by closing above that line, I would start to say, okay, we're looking really impulsive off these lows. You've got a 1 or 2. This is a potential 3, 4, and then, you know, 5 up to the 55. That's a wave 1, okay, with loads of subsets of waves within that. And then, you know, you've got a 1, a potential wave 2, and a big 3, and a 4, and a 5. And then you've got some kind of big rally here that's going to come up and potentially get to the 1272, 1414, and the 1618. That 1272 is my minimal target, around about 95k. It's a possibility that that is the final 5th wave up to that 1272. Okay, so this is a possible scenario that I've gone through so many times, that we've actually been in a big cycle, you know, big macro move off this bear market low right there. We've got a 1, we've got a 2, we've got a 3, this was a 4, and right now we're looking at a 5, the final 5th wave of a larger macro move here for Bitcoin, okay?
Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You've got to pump it up.
So that's been a beautiful move for the CoinsKid crew and myself. That's been an amazing move, you know, against her mentality, the sentiment. All I was doing is relaying the data and the charts to you way back when, okay? At the bottom, we had a beautiful Adam and Eve bottom reversal pattern. We broke out and we've never looked back. So going forward, straight off the bat, I can tell you, you know, if we have a massive bear market in the future, I think that that will be a big boy bounce. You know, this is just data in the charts. This will be a big boy bounce as well. So at the minute, we're doing incredibly well, you know. So take this note, 18k and 31k, we should see, you know, in the next bear market, this could be your buyback, your support zones, because you know, the fact that you've melted through there in the God candle and you've not necessarily backtested this previous resistance as support. So that's on my radar in another bear market, basically. Will we hit a bear market now? I don't know. I'm waiting for more data in the charts, but right now I'm just riding the waves with you, okay? And this is all I'm doing. So far so good from this point here. What a beautiful move into, you know, this key levels of resistance. So this was a technical break of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically a bump and run pattern, but equally a falling wedge, which I relay to you. At this point here, that increased the probability of the breakout coming up to each point of contact, which I kept relaying to you, okay? So I wasn't projecting to the downside, I was projecting to the upside the whole time because of this close above a 20, the break of resistance, and the fact that you're creating bullish crosses on the weekly time frame. So I said to you, the technical target for Bitcoin is 47k and then the all-time high. So boom and boom. Tagged it. Absolutely amazing time, an amazing journey for myself and the CoinsKid crew. Okay, so we've met the technical target right now. So, you know, yesterday Bitcoin did actually put in an all-time high here in the charts. Okay, so with that, that's why I've made the pump up video, and I just want to say, you know, thank you for being on the channel, thank you for sticking with me, thank you for the positivity, you know, over the years, and just thank you for subscribing basically, and thank you for liking the video equally. I do post a lot of content in the Discord. It's easy for me to get that content out, so I've been looking at some little micro moves for Bitcoin, and this level of resistance that we've tapped into, making this high, I did not expect us to break through this with ease. And what we're doing right now is simply what I expected. We're correcting, you know, having a consolidation event in a range, and this is what will give the clue away. You know, the future of Bitcoin will be determined over the next few days. What does Bitcoin do at this point? Do we create a toppy pattern? Do we create a double top? Do we drop? Do we create, you know, a fall under the ribbon, things like that? That data will, you know, tell me that Bitcoin's bearish. But until then, I have to respect that we've come up, we've broke out of a massive bump and run pattern, we've come up to all my targets. So right now, the fact that we have broke that resistance just there, okay, with that peak above, we are now in another impulsive move. So basically what we've done, we've took out the 1 fib just there, okay, we poked our head above it, and right now the next target should be, in theory, 96k. Okay, so we'll respect that, we'll respect the data. So the invalidation of that, obviously, if we begin to roll, we're looking at a deeper retracement to, you know, find the fuel to come back up and break that resistance. But at the minute, we're just celebrating the new all-time high against the herd mentality, against points, the negativity, the naysayers, you know, the macro, all the way down here, macro, schmacro, reply guys, you know, the environment, you know, money and things like that. It's just charts, it's just data, it's just, you know, show me the charts and tell you the news. Bitcoin at this point was putting a very bullish statement. This is why it's projecting upwards at this point, not downwards. Okay, so far so good. Hope you're enjoying the show. Thank you for tuning in. Let's dive into the Bitcoin video right now and see what we can see. Okay, so remember, you know, the market moves in waves. So yesterday I did make a really important tweet for you. You know, as we were attacking this high, I know a lot of people, they're looking for a massive gong candle to break out this high, but I've been anticipating a correction at the high for a long time, showing you in the video, showing you in the tweets, and showing you in the, you know, the Discord right there, the perfect little setups. So it's really important. Let's just pay attention to the, you know, the patterns that are created at this particular resistance, because in every single time we've, you know, come up to the high, we've always created, when it's been bullish anyway, we've always created an ascending triangle, or, you know, a consolidation, a symmetrical triangle, a horizontal. You know, we've always created them compression patterns before the continuation of expansion of taking out the high and going into price discovery. The only time we never did that was in, I think it was 2021, when we pierced that high in November. We created a small descending triangle on the daily. So I'll go through this with you. That will be the negative pattern that we're actually looking for. If we see that, then yeah, you know, we may have an early warning shot that the data is telling us that Bitcoin is actually topped and it's bearish and it's going to come in for a bigger correction than we anticipated. But I'm going to give Bitcoin the benefit of the doubt, because there's two charts that I'm going to show you that may be giving us a clue away that we are about to enter the parabolic phase for Bitcoin, the price discovery phase, and the, you know, the blow off top basically, which is what I've been looking at for a very long time right now for Bitcoin. Okay, so there's two charts I'm going to go through with you in a minute, but you know, I do make a lot of posts on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, please get involved. I did say, have you been sitting on your hands? The crypto fear and greed at 6 at 90, dump moon fastly approaching. If you're looking to get some exposure to Bitcoin right now, then you are doing it wrong. If you pay attention, this channel delivers optimal entry points, low risk setups to negate the long spot position trades. So basically what I'm trying to convey to you is, way back in January of last year, I did show you data in the charts, it was an optimal entry point. But prior to that, in November, I did make a video called the 5 waves of death, where Bitcoin had actually put 5 waves down. It was an optimal entry point. Okay, and this is what I do. I look for the 5 wave counter in this channel. Equally, for those that have been with the channel for a very long time, they will know that in September of this last year, on September the 12th, I think it was, the day after the big crash right there, we'd put in 5 waves with bullish divergence, and we was looking to carve out a 3rd wave, and we've come up from that. It's been amazing. And again, this is what I always do, always counter the 5 waves in any direction. So I'm going to go through this with you today. There are 2 charts that I'm looking at, and you know, there's always risk that we will drop, but I need to see more data from Bitcoin to sort of, you know, increase that probability right there. So basically, you buy big green candles, you're going to get big red dildos. You're always going to get shafted if you're buying into FOMO. You need to be buying the bottom basically before the run. So right now, you know, Bitcoin fear and greed 90, a lot of greed and FOMO in the market. That's actually been reset. I'll go through that with you as well. But you know, we've come up, and right now we do have a dump moon fastly approaching on the 9th of March. Now the last successful dump moon was way back there, wasn't it, at the start of the year, when we had that micro correction in January, and we bolted from that. So it is my opinion that right now, you know, the bullish stance is the fact that we've come up in a 1 from September of 2023. We've come up in a 1, this was a 2, and right now this is the 3rd wave. So the 3rd wave, like I said to you, breaks the high, and within that wave you had subsets of waves as well. So we're still within the 3rd wave, a very, very powerful wave right now, which is the typical wave count that I look to break the high. So like I said to you, if Bitcoin's bullish, we just need to be looking for, you know, 5 waves within this wave to complete it basically. So we'll go through that with you. But so far so good. I did get a lot of real nice comments on that tweet. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'll dive into the Bitcoin chart right now and show you what I'm looking at. So this is my primary count at the moment for Bitcoin. It's not changed in the short term, but I think we can obviously respect the data if it does begin to change. And then there's an alternative count which I've shown you. The alternative count is the fact that this has actually been an impulsive wave 1. We will have a macro wave 2 coming back down. Everyone gets super bearish, and then we come up in a monster 3, and it's just, you know, it is just the cycle of Bitcoin, the 4-year cycle basically. So that's obviously an option right there. So I can't get too bearish just yet, but I will look for obviously the clues of a macro correction if we start to turn a corner and create a descending triangle or some kind of bearish pattern at this peak resistance right now for Bitcoin. That's the alternative. But my, you know, my primary count at the moment is still on the table, and I think we've got a clue to this primary count. I'm going to show you 2 reasons in 2 other charts why I stand by this count at the moment until the data changes. Okay, so please remember, I've not got a crystal ball, I've not got a time machine. It is all about data. It is all about what the price action, you know, reveals to us. Okay, so right now this is my primary count, the 1, flat 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. The blow off top, the big move move that no one is anticipating. And the clue, like I said to you, could simply be the fact that Bitcoin yesterday made a new all-time high before the halving, that this particular move here, against all expectations, is playing out under our noses, basically. So what are the other two charts that I'm going to show to you right now that could be giving us a clue that this is actually about to play out? Let's jump into these two charts right now. So looking at the first chart then, the first chart I've been showing you for many, many years right now. For those who've been with the channel, you know, I do want to say, whoever introduced me to this chart, thank you, because this particular chart has added so much confluence to my analysis, okay, and it's made me so much money just looking at this chart. So, you know, whoever introduced me to that, I wish I could find the original tweet, or, you know, whoever linked me to it, because I've used this like an absolute boss for a very long time. It's a blueprint, it's a cheat sheet, and I've made that, you know, comment before in this particular chart. So I still think that this chart, we need to pay attention to this chart because it gives us clues. For example, you know, from this bearish rising channel here, everyone's super bullish on the DXY, but I said to you, you know, I think it's a parabolic mania phase here for this, and once it starts to break down, we're looking at a big correction coming back down to where you came from. So I still think that this is corrective and it's coming down. So the minute we start to see a reversal in this chart, that's the time I'm going to be bearish on risk and crypto, basically. So I think we're in targets above for a lot of projects, okay, for crypto. You know, equally the stock markets, I've given them, you know, targets before. There is one other chart I'm going to show you before I do go to add confidence to my analysis that we are in a blow off top phase. But equally this chart here, you know, you've got some kind of A, some kind of B, and right now it's your C wave. So I did relay this to you way back when in the summer, that this is the top of the B wave. If it is, this is the optimal entry point for you. This is the absolute sweet spot for you for Bitcoin, because if I'm correct, and this is the A, the B, the C of a C wave, this was the absolute sweet spot. And I did relay it to you, and I was looking at it all summer as this was rising, everyone getting super bearish on crypto. But I said to you, once this breaks down, this is your go signal for Bitcoin. Look at that, broke down, back test. Look at that point just there. Bitcoin has took off into space, because in my opinion, this is the rocket ship. This is the inverse correlation. This is a C wave for the DXY, which should in theory lead us to a major parabolic mania blow off top phase in risk and equally Bitcoin. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I do apologize, but we've done incredibly well so far countering this particular chart. So what I'm looking for to be wrong is basically for this to come down, start to turn a corner, and begin to make higher highs and higher lows. But until that, I'm respecting the fact that what we've done here, we've had a major parabolic move here for the DXY. Okay, everyone got super you know, bearish on risk and Bitcoin, super bullish on, you know, the dollar, cash is king and all that kind of business. But it's at this point we've been getting to break down. We've been doing incredibly well on risk, basically. So, you know, I'm riding the waves with you. I wish everyone the most luck, but until we start to see some kind of reversal in this chart, this is not necessarily the time to think about, you know, jumping ship and taking profit, because again, we need to see more data to add confluence to analysis of the top BNN. So I'll relay that message to you. But, you know, my count on this particular chart at the moment is a massive parabolic move, and this is simply an A, a B, a C zigzag coming back down, find support, start to come back up, create a reversal pattern. At that point, yeah, you know, we've got confidence in this chart that we need to jump ship from risk, basically. So I'm just respecting the risk appetite and the fact that the DXY is giving us clues. So like I said to you, if you take a look at this particular move right now, if this is the A, this is the B, and this is a C wave of an ABC zigzag correction. So there's your A wave, there's your regular ABC, and right now it's your C wave, A wave down, B wave high, C wave, and the optimal entry point, like I did relay to in the summer. This is where we do need to see, you know, the biggest move within this leg to the downside will come in fruition for Bitcoin. And if you take a look at Bitcoin right now, that's exactly where it's beginning to do that. You know, from this point here, look at this vertical in the chart. So it's in the DXY, the clue's in the DXY. This is something I'm trying to relay to you. So we'll keep, you know, I'll keep an eye on the DXY as best as I can, but so far so good. On the micro here, on the daily time frame, we do have, again, a broadening ascending wedge, breaking down just there. So the technical target for this, if we see the close below that green line, is the bottom of the wedge, and this is just more fuel to the fire for the potential A, B, C leg drop. And this particular leg down here coming down is your big vertical in risk. Really simple. So what's the other chart that I'm looking at that add confluence to my theory of a blow off top here for Bitcoin? Okay, let's dive into the S&P 500 right now. So the last chart that I'm going to show you that adds confidence to my theory of, you know, potential blow off top right here, and the fact that we are going vertical in the charts, is really simple. It's the S&P 500, and I've been showing this for a very long time, you know, dropping it into the videos every single day with, you know, the DXY, so much so I think that people got really bored and really, you know, sort of rinse repeat analysis. But, you know, I was showing you this particular chart for a very long time to add confluence to my analysis that Bitcoin would come up, basically, because, you know, this chart's a leading indicator. Again, we've got the DXY, which is cheat sheet, and then obviously we've got this big risk chart, the S&P 500, this index right now, that gives us clues to what will happen with Bitcoin. So if risk is looking pretty good, then we should expect Bitcoin to look pretty good. So I'm looking for a breakdown in this chart, and I don't see it at the minute. I think this chart is actually in technical targets, which is equally adding confidence to the fact that this particular move for Bitcoin is not necessarily done until we get to these targets. So we've been riding this like an absolute boss. I remember this on the hourly time frame way back in, I think it was October, wasn't it? Got this beautiful little sweet spot that I relayed to the CoinsKid crew. Got the bullish divergence down there, and then we start to come back up off a falling wedge. Now this particular green line here, this was a level I was showing you that was the invalidation of a bullish impulse, basically a wave 1 from 2022. We came all the way down to it, literally something like 0.19% above it, and then broke. And right now we're putting in all-time highs for the S&P 500 against all the naysayers. People said no way, and all that macro schmacro reply guys, and we've just made all-time highs, and we keep doing that. So until we start to see a breakdown in this chart, I remain in risk basically, and I'll look to de-risk that once this chart breaks down. And possibly, and remember there's no guarantees, but there are technical targets that I think this chart is in. So again, this is just, I think we just need to respect until this technical target is met for this particular chart, then we just have to hold on here. Okay, so again, nothing I say is financial advice, but if we take a look at this, and I did relay this to you, as Alessio Rossani got really bearish on this chart, there was one key data point in this chart that this he was ignoring basically, and it's really simple. It's a signal I call buy and go to the beach. Okay, it's a maximum bullish signal that I do spot in the charts, and I've relayed to you over the years. For example, Bitcoin created one last year, XRP's created one last year, and it's held it like a boss so far, and a lot of these projects do. Recent times on some of these crypto projects, for example, I think Sand has just created one and it's falling back to it. These are like rocking horse shit. It's called the 20 and 55 EMA golden cross. Okay, it's called a buy and go to the beach signal from CoinsKid. Basically, you come up, you fall back into it like we did at the time just there. It's a rock solid signal that it implies that you're in a bull market for these particular indexes or Bitcoin or whatever. It's a very powerful signal. For example, here you got the correction, get out, boom, come all the way down until you get that, get back in. Basically, really simple. So sell and go to the beach, buy and go to the beach. But obviously I always try and find anything in the charts that forewarns us of this coming signal. So this is a data point that we couldn't ignore, and I went through, I think we had something like 18 instances of this particular signal in the S&P 500, the 20 and 55 EMA golden cross, that we'd created 18 instances since the 50s, and every single time the S&P 500 had held the low and broke the high. So again, it was just data that I was relaying to you. We came up, it got a little bit squeaky bum time, but then boom, we're coming up and making new all-time highs here. So what is the technical target that this particular chart is in right now? So in my opinion, and I did relay this to you, as we were coming up here, I'd expect a level of resistance at that and a potential wave 4, because if you move to the left, we've created a beautiful potential inverse and shoulders. We broke out just there, and right now we're looking to come up the stairs. So the technical target for the S&P 500 is this white line around about 5865. So is there any other confluence to that particular target? Well, I think there is. So until we start to see a breakdown or loss of the EMAs, and we're losing support and structure, and creating downtrend, lower highs, and so on and so forth, I think we need to remain in risk here because of this particular chart as well, and the fact that potentially looking at the breakdown of DXY. So from the bottom to the top, we are now in an impulsive move, and right now we're sort of coming up to the 1.272 at 5253. Obviously we'll come up and down, this is how it all works, but if we're in this vertical right now, this big parabolic phase from this bottom here and coming up, it's only until we start to break down below the parabolic support right now that we should start to think about de-risking on risk. Really simple. So my primary target, if confluence of the inverse and shoulders pattern like this, boom, coming like that, we broke out on this neckline just there, is the 1618, and equally the technical target of the inverse and shoulders pattern. So there's a little bit of confluence that at this neckline, when we broke it way back there in December, this is your technical target that you're in right now. So until we meet that technical target, like I've always said to you, the technical target on Bitcoin earlier in the video right there, the bump and run pattern, you got your falling wedge, the technical pattern at play is valid until invalidated away. Well, how do we invalidate this particular pattern? Really simple, rolling into the neckline and making a series of lower highs and lower lows from that point. So at the minute, we just have to respect that this is the technical target, and you're looking for another impulsive move to the 1.618 around about 5866 for the S&P 500. Now, once it gets there, I will look at my position and risk, and I think about de-risking at that point. So until the day comes, I've just got to respect the data and respect the trend. The trend is your friend until the end. Hope you enjoyed that update. Stay healthy, stay strong, stay tuned. Take care, everyone. Back to another update on Bitcoin. Bye bye.
Their spirits were sunken and low, Their bags weighed more than a ton. There was neither sign nor show when the bull began his run. The shields were shilling wall to wall. The gig was up, they had their fun, and every short got a margin call when the bull began his run. The candle's green came fast and tall. Each wick was bold, quick to stun. His eyes burned red and his horns did moan when the bull began his run. Now fortune smiles upon the need. His bags of gold gleam in the sun. Doubters dream of his balanced sheet, and every bear is left with none.